The stars trembled as Vanguard Eternum broke through the veil of hyperspace. It wasn't the size of the battleship that terrified the galaxy. It was the silence that preceded its arrival. Entire sectors would fall quiet, signals would vanish mid-transmission, and the sky would darken with shadows long before the scanners caught up. Humanity's arrival had never been expected. For eons, the Galactic Concord had believed themselves to be the apex civilization, a unified assembly of over 300 species spanning 10,000 worlds. War was a relic of the past. Diplomacy ruled, bureaucracy reigned, and the galaxy basked in its own sense of superiority. That was until the humans answered. When the Oryakin scout vessel found the Sol system 2 decades ago, they deemed Earth a Category 6 primitive world, barely worth a footnote in the Concord's grand databases. The scout ship transmitted the standard assimilation protocol, a message of peaceful integration followed by a protective observation force. What they didn't expect was for Earth to trace the signal, crack their language within weeks, and send back a reply. "Do not come here." The message was curt. It was ignored. The first Oryakin fleet arrived 6 months later. 20 ships. No weapons charged. Purely ceremonial. None of them returned. No debris. No signals. Just silence. The Concord laughed it off as technical error until the second fleet vanished. Then the third. By the fourth, laughter turned to whispers. And then the Vanguard Eternum appeared. A ship the size of a moon, forged in dark obsidian alloys that didn't register on any known spectrum. It didn't broadcast signals. It didn't announce itself. It simply arrived and entire fleets disappeared. Admiral Sirex of the Dravani Guard stood on the observation deck of the Concord's flagship, the Harmony's Oath, watching the dark blot in the distance. The Vanguard hadn't fired a single shot, yet the fleet's morale was crumbling like sandcastles in a tidal wave. "What do we know?" he asked the AI tactician. The AI hesitated, an anomaly in itself. "Scans are inconclusive. The ship defies classification. Power readings are impossible. It is either inert or operating at levels beyond Concord comprehension." Sirex narrowed his eyes. "And its purpose?" Another pause. "Survival," the AI answered finally. "And vengeance." Inside the heart of the Vanguard Eternum, Commander Elara Grayson stood at the bridge. The lighting was dim, the walls lined with relics of Earth's long-forgotten war's blades, bullets, flags scorched in fire. Humanity had learned from every war, every invasion, every betrayal by its own kind. And when the stars opened, it brought with them a promise: "We will not kneel again." The Concord had called Earth primitive, but they hadn't seen the ruins of Tokyo after the AI uprising. They hadn't walked through the radioactive snows of New Siberia. They hadn't fought in the orbital trenches of Mars during the Resource Rebellion. Humanity had clawed its way from extinction more times than it could count. Pain was their teacher. War was their mother. And the void, well, the void had simply become home. Grayson turned to her communications officer. "Broadcast." "To who, Commander?" "To all of them." The officer nodded. A moment later, every ship, station, and satellite across the Concord received a message. Not a threat. Not an ultimatum. A memory. It was footage real, unfiltered of the first human contact with the Oryakin. How the envoy ship vaporized a civilian station in orbit of Europa to establish dominance. How Earth retaliated, not with surrender, but with ingenuity and savagery the galaxy had never seen. Kamikaze drones. AI-powered asteroids. Infiltration teams wearing stolen alien skins. The message ended with a human child, maybe 6 years old, standing in front of the ruins of her home, holding a broken teddy bear, staring into the camera with eyes devoid of tears. Then the feed cut. Admiral Sirex gripped the rail as tremors shook the Harmony's oath. No weapons fired. Just tremors from fear, perhaps. "Why are they doing this?" one officer whispered. "Because," Serex muttered, "we woke them up." He looked again at the Vanguard Eternum. It hadn't moved. It didn't need to. Every ship in the Concord fleet received a secondary message: leave, or be unmade. Some did. Others hesitated. The Vanguard launched no missiles, fired no lasers. Instead, it spoke to their ships. It hijacked AI cores, overrode controls, shut down propulsion. It didn't destroy. No, that was too merciful. It disabled. Then it watched. Grayson stood at the bridge, calm as a sea before the storm. She turned to her crew. "This is not conquest," she said. "This is remembrance." The crew nodded. "We're not here to dominate the galaxy," she continued. "We're here to remind it of what happens when you poke the only species that evolved with wolves, fire, and famine in its DNA." The ship pulsed, once an eerie vibration across space. Then, as quietly as it had arrived, it turned. The Vanguard Eternum vanished into hyperspace, leaving behind silence, wreckage, and a memory burned into the galactic psyche. From that day forward, across every world, in every species' language, a new proverb was born: "Do not provoke the humans. Their battleships do not conquer. They remember." And the galaxy, for the first time in millennia, understood the meaning of fear.